preeminent voices of our time. As I surveyed Dr. King's life and as I visited the myriad of tributes that have been paid to him throughout time, I thought to myself, what should we really analyze? What should we really study? There's no need to rehearse his accolades, his achievements, and his attributes because we've heard all that before. The pressing question in my mind was, how was Dr. King able to make history? How do you do that? How do you set out to really change the world? How do you single-handedly leave a mark upon not just black history, not just American history, but world history? As I surveyed Dr. King's life, I came upon the fact that what enabled him to change the world was one thing, and that was his pursuit of purpose. Beyond anything that Dr. King did, he was not focused on the world. He was not focused on valor. He was not focused on acclaim. He was simply focused on a purpose that would not let him sleep at night. He was focused on a purpose that he could not die without having accomplished. He was focused on a purpose that was grander than him. It was about his children and his grandchildren. He was focused on what would come after him, and it was that pursuit of purpose that enabled him to transcend beyond what we have seen in the past. Dr. King's pursuit of purpose started when he was a young boy. It started with the thing that arose in him that said, there's got to be more. When Dr. King observed even grown black men being referred to as boys by law enforcement, he said within himself, there's got to be more. When Dr. King looked and saw that the education system, the one that was supposed to empower people, still was segregated and held people down, he said, there's got to be more. When he looked around and pursued his education at Morehouse University, he was saying, there's got to be more. As he reached and sought for his PhD at Boston University, he was saying there's got to be more. Even when he surveyed his religious convictions, he looked at the Bible and said, this must not be for my own righteous living, but there has to be some greater social change that I can use the Christian gospel for. And when he did that, he was saying, there's got to be more. My friends, I challenge you to understand that the reason why we are where we are today is because every generation has asked for more. The people who first inhabited this great place of America that sought to expand their wealth and have a place where they could call their own and worship freely came to this land saying, there's got to be more. But even in their lofty pursuits of wealth, as they took people, citizens of another country, and made them commodities of another, these African citizens who were brought over began to say, there's got to be more. Even after they were loosed from the chains and of slavery, only to be enslaved by the shackles of Jim Crow, there were Southern men and women who banded together to say, there's got to be more. And my dear friends, as we celebrate the election of a black president, as we celebrate other things that appear to represent our total freedom, let us never adapt to a spirit of settling. Let us never adapt to believe that things are okay, but let us always say, there's got to be more. I'm looking for not just the first. I want the 25th black president. I want there to be 30,000 black and Latino students on this campus. There's got to be more. And my friends, when you question the status quo, when you seek for something beyond now, that is when you begin the pursuit of your purpose. So my question to us today is, what are we pursuing? What is the reason why you wake up in the morning? What pushes you to dream? What makes you fight? What causes you to face the number of circumstances that you have in your everyday? What are you fighting for? You have heard it said that if you do not stand for something, you will fall for anything. Let me clarify and put some Princeton on that. If you don't fight for something, then you will give up over anything. If your pursuits only have to do with tangible things, if you are only about the turn up and only about accessing and accessorizing and glamorizing your life, then once you achieve those things, what will you have to fight for? If you're only fighting for fame, if that is all that motivates you, then once you get it, what will you fight for? If all you are fighting for is so that the impressions and opinions of the people who have been your critics will change, then what's going to happen when you get where you are going and they still don't like you? What are you fighting for? I encourage you to fight for purpose. What is the difference? Purpose is always attached to something bigger than you. Your dream starts when you get the money, when you get the job, when you get the house, when you get the status. But purpose says, I will not rest until I've reached a greater audience. I will not rest until the mark is greater than Princeton Parker, greater than USC, greater than my culture. I won't rest until the mark is settled upon the world. But I refuse to stand here and glamorize pursuing purpose. Because real talk, friends, it's not easy to pursue purpose. It's not easy to pursue purpose when you're the minority. It's not easy to pursue purpose when you have 80 people who will be with you when you have the idea, but only 3 who will be with you when it's time to get on the front lines and fight. It's not easy pursuing purpose. It's not easy pursuing purpose when the people in power tell you that you're not worth being listened to because you're not powerful enough for reasons that you can't even control. You're too short, too dark, you're a woman, you're Latino, you are male, you're not rich enough, you're not educated enough. It's difficult dreaming. It's difficult pursuing purpose when the world only celebrates those stories that have to do with entertainment. But we neglect people like Mayor Michael Tubbs. We neglect people who are out changing the world. But we would rather lift the narrative of Justin Bieber's latest arrest. It's difficult pursuing purpose. It's difficult pursuing purpose when you feel like you have a gift that's too big for you to carry. It's difficult pursuing purpose when you look at other people who seem so much more qualified, so much more able, so much more strengthened to do what you do. But let me tell you, you can't allow the fact that it's difficult to keep you from pursuing purpose. Because if there was anything Dr. King taught us, he taught us that we should never allow truth to become our excuse. Let me say that again. We should never allow truth to become our excuse. It was true that Dr. King was hated. It was true that he was looked down upon. It was true that he was hated. It was true that he was considered less than. It was true that they thought he could never achieve real change by marching and saying a few speeches. It was true that the hoses were put on. It was true that the dogs were let out. It was true that he was called out of his name, but that was never enough for him to excuse himself out of the fight. Yeah, it's true you have it hard, but that's not your reason to stop. It's true that the class is difficult, but that's not a reason why you should not pass. It is true that the odds are against you, but that is not your reason to keep from fighting. It is true that you have it harder than any other generation that has come before you, but that does not mean that you get a pass to sit idly by and wait for somebody to hand you an opportunity. It is true. It is true that you face difficulty that seems insurmountable, but that is not your excuse to hang tight and weigh your way out of the situation because it is hard. Never allow truth to become your excuse. But you have to pursue purpose. Why? Let me give you a few reasons and I'm out of your way. You have to pursue purpose. Number one, because there is a cause. There is something that you have to do. There is something that you have to achieve. There is a succinct need that you were specifically created to fulfill in the earth. And so you have to pursue purpose because there is a cause. But let me lift it another level. We must pursue purpose because you're the only one who can pursue your purpose. You were designed with the unique skill set, the unique dream, the unique vision, the unique way that you view the world has crafted you to be able to achieve and conquer a purpose that no one else can see. And while you are busy trying to make yourself like everyone else, please understand that by conforming, you put down the very thing that you've been gifted with to achieve your purpose. You got to pursue purpose because you woke up like this. You're flawless. It's in your DNA to pursue purpose. It's in your DNA to be about something bigger than you. It's in your DNA and it's in your legacy to be about something more. You have to pursue purpose because if you don't, then everyone that is dependent upon your dream will die when you stop dreaming. There is somebody dependent upon your circumstance, somebody dependent upon your story to hear that you were able to make it, to hear that you went through all the mess that you went through and were still able to stand. Someone is dependent upon what you have to offer, and if you give up, you cut off their life support. But most of all, we must pursue purpose, because the people who we would pass it off to are no longer here. I love Dr. King. He'd be much better suited to speak to you all than I. But my role model is not here. I can speak like him, recite "I have a dream" if I so please, or choose to come up with extensive metaphors to colorify the emotion of what I have to offer, but that wouldn't serve this generation. I love Rosa Parks. I love Harriet Tubman. I love Marcus Garvey. But the truth of the matter is, they are not here. Nelson Mandela showed us that you can have the tenacity to go from being a prisoner to a president. But sadly, Nelson Mandela is not here. I have news for you. You are here. And the reason why you cannot afford to sit idly by is because now there's no one else to hand it off to. Everyone else who we would say, that person's more qualified, that person is more experienced, that person is more about civil rights, that person is better at what they do, they are not here, you are here. And if we want to honor them, then the way we honor our history is by purposefully inhabiting our freedom. So now, pursue purpose. Because when you pursue purpose, you honor history. Every time you go to class, you honor history. Every time you do well on a test, you honor history. Every time you encounter a job opportunity that your ancestors would have never been able to go to interview for, you honor history. Every time you choose to defy the stereotype, you honor history. Every time you speak purpose instead of vanity, you honor history. Every time you stand up and walk this campus determined to be something and make something out of your life, you honor history. Every time you defy the hell that you've been through and decide that you will wake up another day and keep living your life, you honor history. So don't stop, but honor history by pursuing purpose. Pursue purpose until your life is reflected by your purpose and not your problems. Pursue purpose until your external circumstance reflects your internal composure. Pursue purpose until everybody connected to you is able to see a better opportunity. Pursue purpose until the people who have been critics of our community will have to retract their criticisms. Pursue purpose until every old person who said that direction was absent amongst this present will have to come back and say, I was wrong about them. We're going to be better off than we were before. Pursue purpose until the direction becomes clearer. Pursue purpose. All I've come to share with you is that if you want to change the world, don't pursue the world, pursue purpose, and you will change this world greater than you ever dreamed, just like Dr. King. Thank you so much.